Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and today I am in Santa Monica, California, covering the AI Vibes event. And I have with me Scott Page. Man,
Yes,
Scott,
sir.
I just watched your performance. Oh my gosh. First off, welcome to the show.
First of all, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
And thanks. Yeah, it's fun here. I love what's happening right now. Right now we're going through such big technological change. And it reminds me, I've been in tech a long time, over 30 years. And it just reminds me of the old days of CD-ROM again. It's the same group. There's a group of people that are like huddling around all
Yeah.
this stuff. So it's actually really cool. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here,
Yeah.
especially for my pal Tal.
Yeah.
She's awesome. One of the kind of real influencers, one of the women in Web3 and technology. So it's great.
Yeah.
So we're having fun.
So I saw a performance today. I was excited when I saw you on the bill. I mean, we were covering the conference. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to see this too. And you were collaborating with another musician, and then also some AI. Talk to those that weren't in the room.
Yeah. So my new friend, we actually played a show before. Anis is a world-class classical pianist. And about sometime like last year, she called me up. We met. It was funny during Burning Man. I was brought in to play the 50th anniversary of Dark Side of the Moon. I got to be the sort of Pink Floyd representative at Burning Man, and she was there, and so we talked and we said we'd do something. So we ended up playing together a while ago. Well, then I find out she's just did this whole piece dealing with AI and everything, and through Tal said, "Oh, this girl's going to be playing. Maybe you could play." I said, "Oh, it's Anis," and so we loved the time we played together the first time. We had such a great time, and so today we came here. It was in front of the conference. We did a little. We did our talks first and talked about it, and then she sort of experimented and she kind of showed some AI. She created some stuff on the fly, and we jammed together at the time. So it was just the idea was kind of the demonstration of what can be done in with AI and music, how quickly now and how exciting and scary at the same time it is. It's one of those things. I'm one of those guys that I love AI and I hate AI, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we're at a very important time. But what's important is that we need to stay on top. You can't stop it.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out how to coexist with it and figure out how to, really make it be more positive for humanity, because there's definitely issues that could take it very dark.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to us, the people that are, care. I mean, these people here, these are the pioneers. The people are in the door right now. So I'm excited. I'm excited, scared to death, but thrilled at the same time.
All right, so I gotta confess something to you.
Okay.
When I was watching and she was creating it real time, and they were putting in these terms like Ethiopian jazz or all these other things, and I was like, I'm in the front row, so I'm like, all right, I can't yell this, but I'm like, give the AI a chance, give it a real thing. I'm like, I was just it reminded me, I'm not a musician,
right?
But I've been with a lot of friends are musicians. So I've been in many rooms when creativity is happening amongst musicians. And to me, it almost felt like almost another member, because I don't always understand what's going on. Because I'm not a musician, but it almost felt like another member that was in the room. What does that feel like to even just create spontaneously with AI like that?
Well, again, for me, I go back to when we didn't even have cell phones, right? And so when we went in the studio, the thrill was going in the room and having everybody in the room to record at the same time.
That energy,
the energy. There's a thing. Now, the AI doesn't give you that.
I
right?
believe this as a musician.
This is, as a musician, that to me is one of the most important things. Is we would go in the studio, get set up, everybody get there, and we say, okay, let's run some takes, and we do like 3 takes of the same song, top to bottom. But even though we played everything the same and everything, but there'd be one that would have more magic,
and everybody could feel it.
You could feel it, right?
Yeah,
and that's the part that's getting taken out of the music, is hearing people be able to think and communicate. Again, why is Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, all these bands stand the test of time is because you feel something differently. Again, I see the power of AI. I'm concerned because AI to me is is almost like your ego, which knows no sense of
Yeah.
right or wrong.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
talked about that, right? It just knows.
Mm.
It's really that consciousness inside that soul that really says,
Mm.
don't do that, do this. And now we've got this thing
Mhm.
that's just growing. People, we're inputting our data. It's just
Yeah.
taking all of humanity and putting it inside this computer brain right now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting. But yeah, you know, we made stuff up there. She just created it on the fly,
Mhm.
and then we jammed to it. But you know,
Yep.
I miss the fact of having to really kind of
Mm.
think and reach deep when you're doing it, because I can just go over, boom, hit a button,
Yeah,
and then it
yeah,
happens.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
I'm like, okay, now, especially when you start thinking about the kids that never had the
Mm.
time. We grew up having to critical think,
Yeah.
had to like logically figure out things and learn how to spell
yeah.
and memorize and all
Mhm.
of that. Now it's just like you just go,
Yeah.
and it's like done. What is that going to do?
Yeah.
It concerns me, but at the same time, we have to be in it, and I think there's going to be a lot of creativity.
Mm.
Like I have a project right now called Synthtopia. You can go see it at synthtopia.world. It's
Yeah.
an NFT project that's all AI.
Mm.
But the message is how do I get out of the matrix? The only way I can get out of the matrix is be in the matrix, know what it is
Yeah.
in order to step out of it, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that we're going through a very interesting time in history, in just in society, where between the conscious and the unconscious,
Mm.
right? And that's the thing. We're at a spiritual, what I'll call a spiritual war
Yeah.
of between, good and evil, because I mean, you're seeing things.
Yeah.
Morals are getting
For
trashed.
sure.
They're becoming secondary to everything else. If it feels good, just do it. And it's like, what happened to that moral thing? So I think we're in for some interesting times, and I'm hoping that what'll happen is we'll get AI that will keep AI on track,
Mm.
right? That'll be like the white hat AI.
For sure.
Yeah, because we don't want to have. I mean, what we got to be careful of is the human condition, right?
Mhm.
I mean, AI could be the greatest thing for humanity if it
Mhm.
was there to assist us in really trying to make us better, teach us
Mm.
better, making sure the information we get is correct and everything.
Yeah.
But we're already seeing them messing with the AI, right? All of a
Yeah,
sudden, you're
yeah.
looking at the outputs of certain things. You're asking a question, it won't talk about this person, but it'll talk about this person, and you start going, okay,
Mhm.
whoever controls the algorithm is going to win because people are going to take all this stuff for truth. And
Yeah.
so it's a very interesting time, but that's why I like being in it right now, because
Mhm.
we have to innovate. We have to figure out ways to make it work for us.
Mm.
And that's our job. But,
Mm.
interesting what's going on in music. That's
Mm.
for sure.
I want to step back to what you mentioned about just being able to push a button, because this is something that I talk to my friends about a lot. Like I have my little group chat, and we're talking about new albums that are coming out and things like that, and how music just sounds. And what do you think this does if you had to artist development? Like in the past, my understanding of like artist development, you might have been working on their sound and all these things for years before they put something out that has a sound or something to work
Right.
through, versus now in certain genres, everything kind of sounds the same because you're pushing a button and they're not. I don't know. What do you?
Yeah, no question. I mean, the whole thing of a musician is wearing your own clothes, right? How do
Mm.
you become unique and sound your own thing? And we saw just in synthesizers
Yeah.
how that started to go away,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's like now, when we were making records back in the day, we're like, okay, what can we do? Oh man, put this mic down in the toilet, put a speaker on it, let's record the toilet, right?
Yeah.
And mix it into the sound. We create crazy sounds. We were really inventive. Now it's like, give me the toilet sound. You hit a button and it happens.
Yeah.
Now, there's pros and cons to
Yeah.
this, but what I'm afraid that we're going to see is we're going to start seeing people aren't going to have to think anymore.
Mm.
And I really found it interesting is we did a night during NFT LA a few years
Mhm.
back in this location where we had all the sponsors. The place was this dome park, right?
Yeah.
It was a 5-dome immersive dome park, all set up, all the sponsors, all this projectors, everything was identical. We did a night where we did an exploration of Pink Floyd, all live music. We came in and everything, and you could feel the spirit
Wow.
in the room was so up. And since I was producing the event, I came the next night. I'm not going to say who it was,
Yeah.
but it was a very famous DJ, big time.
Mhm.
The vibe changed so different. It
Wow.
was like dark. You could see people. They're almost like zombies walking around. It's like
Yeah.
that stuff. It's like it's crazy because frequencies have so much to do with things, and I think
Mm.
we're also in a group time of frequency wars in a sense, because I feel like this is a spiritual thing that's going on between good and evil. Like
Mhm.
I feel like there's a whole force that's trying to destroy what the concept of God, whatever that is
Yeah,
to you,
yeah.
the source. And then if you look at if you look at what Satanism is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I will listen to this podcast with this guy interviewing a Satanist priest who had been with the church for 40 years and left, and because he couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And he came out and started talking about it. The guy says, "Well, what did they say when you left and you were going to start telling everybody?" He says, "They all laughed." He says, "What do you mean they laughed?" He said, "We're already in your schools, we're in your libraries, we're in your government, we're everywhere.
Wow.
What you miss is you don't know what it is. You think it's the kids in the back room sacrificing animals. No. What it is an ideology that it's all about me. If it feels good, do it. Morals are secondary." So now if you start looking around at everything you're watching right now, from the Grammys to this stuff,
True.
man, we're
Yeah.
seeing stuff that's very, lot of symbolism in a very kind of dark space around Satanist kind of points of view, right? It's
Yeah.
freedom, ultimate freedom. Just do
Right.
what you want without any morals, right? And we're seeing morals being completely hijacked and destroyed. So I think we're at a very interesting time
Yeah.
in life where we need to, I think people are waking up and they're starting to realize, there's a lot of people, a lot of media not telling us the truth.
Yes.
Like crazy. When we look at how divided everybody is. So we're at a very crazy crossroad right now. So, my hope is that we can figure out how to make AI really be one of those things that can be helpful, and human ingenuity and spirit will figure out how to make this work. But the good news is, whether humans are here in 100 years or not, doesn't really matter. This bad boy planet is going to just keep on spinning,
This is
man.
true.
Consciousness will keep unfolding as it unfolds. I'm not worried about it, right? Everything's
Yeah.
fine. We're all good. But it's interesting times.
How do you, speaking of this, how do you make your decisions on where you're relative to AI and businesses? You mentioned one particular business that you're working on. How do you make your decisions on what routes you're going in terms of spending your time, investing, whatever that be? And the reason I asked this question, by the way, just to preface, is because sometimes people don't know what they don't know, right? And so sometimes there's really well-meaning people that are either working off of information that's not, and so how do you just personally grapple with that? Because you're a big name, big presence, a lot of,
A legend in my own mind.
Yeah,
not
come
that
on,
big of a
no,
name.
no.
Not that big a name.
Come on.
To be truthful, honest, I don't really push the buttons and run the AI.
Of course, of course.
I
Yeah.
don't do that. I really
I don't
only
push these buttons out. This
I'm
is just here for show.
Like I
I'm just
tried
talking.
chat GTP up a bit, but I'm very close to the market because I understand people. I'm around people. I see it work. I see how we're using it.
Yep.
My whole thing, how I make my decision, everything is I took a heavy spiritual path about 15, 18 years ago, and everything to me is about consciousness, right? Because you blink, you're 50, you blink, you're on your deathbed,
Yeah,
right? It's like, oh, huh? How did that happen?
it's true.
Right? I woke up 1 year, like when I was 50 years old, I blinked and 50 years went by. How did that
Wow.
happen? So time is an illusion, right?
Yes.
So everything that I do is based on really trying to take an inward look at what's going on, and not from a businessy kind of thing. As I started taking that path, I started realizing what an idiot I was. Because once you start to watch your thoughts, you start to become more aware of self-awareness in the sense, because that's what it's all about. Is they always talk about it's about awareness, being aware. But the problem to solve is, how do I know I'm aware that I'm aware?
Oh man, you're hurting
Figure
me.
that one out. Because your ego will tell you, oh, you're all there, but you're really not,
No,
right?
that's
Because
a
remember,
trick.
spiritual ego is the most powerful, dangerous thing there is out there. So, but I do, everything I do is around, remember, the only thing that's real is you and me talking right now. 2 minutes ago is an illusion. 2 minutes from now is an illusion.
Yep.
Am I going to identify with what happened to me 10 minutes ago, or somebody did me wrong 5 years ago and I'm going to hate it? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is, every step I take, I'm always conscious of, what am I feeling? And I'm asking myself, am I feeling any fear or anxiety or tension? And if I am, I'm going, wait a minute, I'm standing here with a water in my hand. I know that if I'm suffering from that, I'm suffering because of being identified with a thought, not with reality, because reality is I'm sitting here talking to you.
Yes.
What problem do you have right now? Nothing. There's zero.
Good. I
Zip,
feel
nothing,
great.
Nothing. Now there could be things you got to deal with. You got things, you got payments, house, you got all this other
Yeah.
stuff. But right now there's no problem. So
Mhm.
I kind of stay in that mode. So everything I do is, again, it is all about me, but not
Mhm.
so much about me, like from an ego point. It's all about me. How do I react to things?
Mm.
So everything I do has to do with I'm constantly checking in and trying to see how I react and am I making the right decisions. The moment I stopped trying to manipulate deals and make them
Mhm.
happen, my life changed dramatically because now I go into
Mm.
deals. I never go in with expectation to close anything. It happens, great. If it don't happen, I don't care because it doesn't matter. I'm drinking water. I'm walking down the street. Life's good, right?
Yeah.
So all my decisions are really based on that, right? You know, I constantly check in and watch myself to
Mm.
see what kind of a nut I am today. Because I mean, I used to sit in meetings when I really started getting into this
Mhm.
awareness thing, and I watch myself trying to close these deals and
Oh,
manipulate and make it
yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
I was such an idiot.
Yeah.
And now, like I said, and what's happened is because of that, everything else is just works. It's
Mm.
just much better. My life's much happier, and it seems to help me make the right decisions.
Mm.
And if I make a wrong decision, that's okay too,
Yeah. Yeah.
because then it's like, well, how am I reacting to that thing? So
Mhm.
now I've gotten to the point when things go bad, I'm kind of okay with it because the goal is I try to turn that into something of value to
Mm.
help me move forward, right? In a good way, not in a bad way, because I don't get lost in thought anymore. I don't get hoodwinked by that ego, man. I
Yeah.
don't do it anymore.
Man, hold on. Scott, I think that's a good way to end it. Hey, let's
Swing
not
from AI to consciousness,
let's
right?
not get hoodwinked by ego.
That's right.
That might be the title of this one.
Hoodwink do not let your ego hoodwink you because it will, because I mean, I just real quick story.
Yeah, no, please,
I spent 2 years reading a book called The Power of Now. Many people might
Mhm.
know that book, right?
Yeah.
I read it 60 times in a row
60 times.
over 2
Wow.
years, right? I just
Yeah.
read the book top to bottom, kept reading because every time you read it, it got deeper.
Yeah.
It was different. I read the same
Wow.
words and it was different every time. So, and then I listened to him, Eckhart Tolle,
Yeah, yeah.
read that book to me in the car for 2 years. And I would get in the car and I'd pray for
2
traffic.
years.
I'd pray for
Wow.
traffic because I'd want to be sitting in the shrine just to kind of working on
Yeah.
who am I? How does
You
this actually
reprogrammed
work?
yourself,
Just like
literally.
really, yeah. And so I'm feeling pretty spiritually aware. I was feeling like a spiritual guru. 2 years, life's good. Things are going good, all that.
Yeah.
April 9th, 10:12 in the morning, 2011. I wake up and I'm in my bedroom and I wipe my eyes and there's a mirror up there on the wall. I went, 50 years went by.
Yeah.
I blinked.
Wow.
Now I know what they meant when they said time is an illusion because I went
Mm.
from 0 to 50 and it didn't seem like nothing. Like
Yeah.
I'm just there, right?
Yeah.
And I go, wow. But then I had this epiphany. The voice that was inside of me
Mm.
hadn't changed, hadn't moved, hadn't done. It's been the same thing. That conscious, that thing inside. No aging, no anything. And that was the moment I realized you don't die because you're not the
Mm.
meat suit. You're this
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
that doesn't change, right? It's beautiful. So I thought degrees off
Mm.
after 60 reads, 2 years. I can't tell how many times I listened to it in the car. I completely missed it. Words all changed. The whole game changed. So, be careful of spiritual ego.
Mm.
It could be crazy, but there's nothing more. That's the only one that matters because your job
Mhm.
and my job is one thing to help consciousness unfold. That's why you're here, brother.
Yeah.
That's it. And the question I ask is, are we shifting? Is consciousness shifting into a machine? Because remember, at the
Mm.
quantum level, we're just vibrating. A machine's energy too, right? So
That's true.
is consciousness shifting? So what it feels like right now is the AI is just sucking up humanity, right? All the
Yes.
knowledge.
Yes.
Like I was talking about Payman. Imagine you go to this site. It's called Payman.
Yeah.
And you go there and it's basically an AI driven site that can't, if you, it hires humans to help it with what it can't do.
Yeah, when you told me that, I didn't know that prior to that. I wasn't aware of the site, and I'm thinking to myself, like, what?
Yes.
Like that's our boss at some point.
Oh,
It's
no,
for
well,
something.
well,
Yeah,
think about-
it's already there for that. If you're using it and you're earning, yeah,
You're an Uber driver. You think you talk to anybody? Your
No.
boss is an app.
yeah,
right? You get up
Yeah.
every day and you talk to your app and you fill out, you go to your app.
Yeah, that's true.
So we're moving into a whole nother area. And so maybe consciousness is unfolding into machines. Maybe that's the next level, right? Who knows? We do know one thing: the machines won't destroy everything like humans do. At least we don't know, unless they get mad at each other.
Yeah, we don't.
We don't know, because when the one thing you think about AI that gets trippy is, what if they create a language that can talk between them and we who can't understand it?
Oh, come on. Yes, you're right.
That's coming,
Then what happens?
right? So
Then we're back to, what would the version of that be? The like World War II, or all these other codes that were used between.
We don't, yeah. So I mean, we're going into uncharted territories for sure. But I can tell everybody out there, don't be afraid. Consciousness and the source or God or whatever, this will keep going for. We're fine at the deepest level. Everything is okay, right? So, but it's good to know how to adapt. You need to think fast and figure out how to adapt quickly, because there's a lot coming down quickly in this space that's going to change. And virtually, there's not a business that will not be touched by this. Everything is going to be touched by this. And probably the craziest thing, it's moving really fast now. The next 24 months is going to be a crazy ride.
Yeah. And I hear these stats too about like how it's progressing, and to think about those that unfortunately maybe still think this is going away, especially the business owners.
Yeah.
Especially the business owners. We got a big business owner entrepreneurial audience. And when I think about those that aren't like thinking about that, like they don't, like, I'll give you one quick example you may not be aware of. So one of the things that we've done in the past, where we pretty much closed that entire part of our business down, is audiobooks. And the reason is because we got this little email. We do a lot of publishing through Amazon, published over 400 authors. And we get this little email from Amazon. I get this email that says, hey, you've been chosen for a beta. You can now create your own audiobook. Take your currently existent published book and create an audio book of it. And so here goes and I was part of the beta. So I signed up, and we used to spend, months creating and this and that, having an actor read it, or having to train the author because they wanted to read it, months and months and months to get a great product out in production. And now, not kidding you, Scott, I couldn't believe it. I knew it existed, but it never existed within the platform. We literally clicked a button. It was, and the entire book was maybe 5 minutes later was complete audio book. And for the business niche, you're not going to act that out anyway. It's going to be a regular delivery, regular reading. You could train a voice and still do it, but the cost that Amazon had brought it down to, zero.
Same with music.
Yeah.
If you think about the production for commercials, all these late night commercials, all this stuff, the secondary stuff.
Yeah.
They just give me 30 seconds of, Rolling Stones / Beatles track, boom. And it's just background music and nobody's going to know. And you hit a button, you own it. And then you don't have to pay any royalties. You don't have to pay anything. So I'm saying you're about to see virtually jobs disappear like we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Like fast.
Yeah.
So that's why those that are
that whole
smart
industry, by the way, all the actors, the studios, everything for audiobooks, Amazon basically with one email, whether everybody realizes that or not, they killed that entire industry. It's done. Nobody's going to pay $10,000, $15,000 versus zero.
No,
it's not going to happen,
because
you'll take that money and put it in them marketing the book or something else. You're going to still maybe use it, but why are you going to now sink that 15 grand into an audiobook when it's done in 5 minutes?
Yeah, I know people that are creating books like this, boom, 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 and they're selling them and making a fortune right now. But I mean, the issue is going to be there's going to be so much, right? Remember, attention. How do I get people's attention? What is it? Now, that doesn't say there's not going to be a niche market for specific. It's kind of like vinyl. Vinyl did a resurgence of records because of the experience. And but it's it's not near what the market was for all this other stuff. But it's good. It's interesting times. Yeah, I'm just again, I'm embracing it because I have to, because if I don't, I can't help guide it in the right direction. And my goal is to try to figure out how to make it do things for good, because it can be great, in healthcare and I mean, especially if the people that are controlling the algorithms have a conscience and care about the people. I'm always just worried about the bad apples that want to screw up everybody,
Yeah.
I mean, so here we go.
Yeah. Well, Scott, man, appreciate you making some time out for us in the conference. I know you got more things to do, so thank you for
Yep.
taking some time out and thank you.
My pleasure. And,
Yes.
sorry, wasn't all AI
Come
we
on.
talked about.
That wasn't the plan. Come on. I got it. To the audience, thank you for tuning in. Hope
Thank
you
you.
really enjoyed this. If you haven't hit the subscribe or follow button yet, do that. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new stories, new content, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey. Again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And until the next one, Scott, really, man, appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Thank you, folks.